Hello, welcome back to Nurse Life. If you are new here, welcome. If you are returning, thank you so much for coming back. My name is Marian, and today I am here to talk about alternative to bedside nursing. Some of you have probably heard from so many nurses here on YouTube talking about their experiences at the bedside. Some of them not so great, some of them great, and you are thinking to yourself, you know what? I don't think I can deal with all that. I don't think nursing is for me. Well, I am here to tell you, if you are truly passionate about nursing and that's something that you want to do, there are so many alternatives to bedside nursing that you can find really interesting and get into. So I am here to give you all of this information. And some of these roles you may not be familiar with because it is not something that we learn as we are in nursing school. The nursing school is focused on traditional nursing, where you are getting your clinical done at the bedside in a hospital. If you go for your 4-year degree right away, or if you have done your associate degree, you probably will have some exposures in nursing home, assisted living, and things like that. Well, let's get into these alternative roles. So if you were ever reconsidering nursing, but that's something you truly love, there is a place for you in this career. So let's get into it. First on my list is camp nursing. So camp nursing, this one I get to learn about when I was in nursing school. I had a nursing instructor who also happens to be my advisor at the time. She and her husband ran a summer camp, and she would always come and talk about her camp and ask students who were interested in putting in a voluntary hour during the summertime. So that was really great. But this is something that you can get into. You have different organizations like churches who are looking for nurses for their summer camps and activity. You also have Boy Scout and Girl Scout. Those organizations are also hiring nurses, so that's something you can definitely look into if you don't want the bedside experience. Or even if you would like a 9-to-5 job, there is another role called utilization review nurse. Now, nurses in this role, you can either work for insurance company or hospital. Your job in this role really for the hospital side is to review documentation, review diagnosis, and make sure that doctor treatment are really focused on the patient diagnosis. So for example, if you have a doctor diagnose a patient with COPD exacerbation and they prescribe treatment that has nothing to do with COPD exacerbation, you as a nurse in that utilization review role will be calling up that doctor and say, hey, I see you diagnosed this patient with this diagnosis, but your treatment really does not involve anything on this disease process. What is going on, and that way, if that was a documentation error, they can review that. Because if those claims get presented to insurance company and treatment are not geared toward diagnosis, they will not get reimbursed for the treatment they provide. So if you are on the insurance side, you will be calling patients who are struggling with chronic illnesses, making sure that they are utilizing their health benefits, and also making sure that they are able to get to their appointments. So that's something you can look into. And this role also, you can work from home. So if you are looking for that 9-to-5 job, nurses can work 9-to-5 as well. The next on my list is NASCAR nurse. So NASCAR, you have seen race car competition, right? Have you ever thought that nurses are part of those groups that kind of organize this thing and play a vital role into safety plan? I've never imagined nurses working in that organization. Well, I am here to tell you that's another career nurses are found to be working in. So nurses who are working in the NASCAR team really are focused on assessing patient, communicating with the team, and making sure that competitors are able to get back on the field to compete. They also work with the NASCAR development research team. They are focused on safety plans. So that's another role for nurses as well. Next on my list, this one is not something that I would advise you to leave your daytime job for, because it's not something that comes around, but it is called medical script nurse, right? So you have probably seen so many television shows or even movie that has medical scenes. So nurses are also hired in this role to make sure that the script that are written for that scene that will be playing out in the hospital are using the correct terminology. They also make sure that the scene are set up right. So for example, if a patient's gonna be in that bed and gonna need oxygen, they will make sure that oxygen placement is right. If that patient's gonna need a Foley catheter, they will make sure that all of those things are right. And this is something that you may have been familiar with in nursing school. I remember doing that skill test where they have everything and kind of display thing you're supposed to say what is wrong in that setup. So it is kind of like that. That will be your role as a nurse when you are in Hollywood and have a job as a medical script writer. Next on my list is aesthetic nursing. So aesthetic nursing is one that really is getting so popular, right? So if you are a nurse who is into beauty and just love looks and things like that, this is another field that you can get into. Nurses in this role, do Botox, do fillers, they do laser hair removal, which is becoming a really popular thing. And if you are a nurse practitioner as well, this is something that you can practice on your own. So you can open your own spa and just do Botox and different beauty treatment and things like that. Or you can also work with a plastic surgeon, to get the client all looking good and bang, if that's something that you are into. So there are so many possibilities, so many alternatives to bedside nursing. Next on my list is nurse coach. So nurse coach is something that is also getting so popular as well, right? Nurses in this role, their focus is to really meet patients where they are and try to help them live a healthy, better life. For example, if you have seen my diabetes education video, I have mentioned in that video that I love rice. So if I ever get diagnosed with diabetes, there will be a problem because I eat white rice. I can eat brown rice as well, but my favorite will be the white rice. Well, if you have diabetes, carb counting is a huge thing. And so that nurse coach, if I have her, helping me, she will really look at my lifestyle and I will give her all of the information and she will try to give me alternative or really tailor my lifestyle towards my disease progress to prolong my life and prevent complications. So this is a really rewarding career. If that's something you are interested in, that's something you can definitely look into. Next on my list is flight nursing. Flight nursing, this was one that I talked about long time ago, like over 4 years ago. I even registered for a class that was for critical care nurses. I didn't end that class because I had transitioned from job like right within that time, and it was just too much with the new job and education and trying to fit in that class and do assignment and things like that. So I didn't end up doing it. But I got interested in this job because for some reason people have never put me with nursing. I have been told so many times, like people thinking, you should be a model, your height is so great, you should be a model. I even had someone told me, you should be a flight attendant. I'm like, so after I've got my degree, I'm like, oh, you know what? It's going to be fun to be a flight nurse. So flight nurses are those nurses who really are on the flight when patients are transferring from one hospital to the next. They are usually the head of the team on that flight, making sure that the patient continue treatment en route to the hospital. So that's a really cool job if you are someone who is into just critical care and love to be a leader. That's something that you can look into as well. So yeah, check that out. Next on my list is parish nursing. Parish nursing is one that is not talked about much, but definitely is something that you can look into. This is faith-based nursing. It's really bringing that spiritual aspect to the medical field as well, combining the two and really focusing on the whole person care. So this is amazing. And the one thing that I want to say, you don't have to be a parish nurse to really incorporate the spiritual aspect to the way you take care of a person. you as a nurse providing whole person care is really essential, because I feel like you can fully care for a person if you don't consider their state of being, if you don't acknowledge where they are, their faith, their culture, and things like that. You will not give a complete care. So you don't have to be the same, you don't have to have the same faith base or belief as a person to acknowledge their belief and their faith and provide a care that incorporate that as well. So yeah, whole person care is essential, and this is something that we do every single day. Even if you don't know, you are providing that whole person care as a nurse, because if you don't do that, you really can't give a complete care. So yeah, that's something you can look into as well. Next on my list is health policy nursing. So health policy nurses really are nurses who are looking to make sure that our healthcare policy really are benefiting the patient population we serve or people in general in our society. If you are in Minnesota working in the hospital, you are familiar with Minnesota Nurses Association, and you have probably read in the news or get this frequent updates from Minnesota Nurses Association about going up to Capitol Hill, talking to meeting with the governor and things like that, just making improvement on policy that truly serve our community and nurses as well. So if you are into policy making, that's something you can do, and this job will be a 9 to 5 job as well. Next on my list is school nursing. So if you love little kiddos, if you love high school students, if you are someone who says, I want to be a nurse, I love to be a nurse, but I just hate working weekends and holidays, hey, there is a place for you. So school nurses, you can work in elementary school, you can work in middle school, you can work in high school, even at a college level, you can work there as a nurse, okay? So school nurses, you all been in school, we all been in school and had those days where we have to go to the nurse's office and just rest in those beds. Well, there is a place for you as a nurse. If you don't want to do if you don't want to work weekend, holiday, school nursing is something that you can definitely look into. Another area you can look into is occupational health nurse. These nurses also work to make sure that, employee safety are a top priority. Policies that are put in place are addressing this safety issue as well. So that's definitely an area you can look into. Next on my list is hospice nursing. Well, if you are someone who enjoys talking to people and caring for people at the end of their life, as well as helping their family cope with grief, this is an area for you. This is not something that I am interested in, because I am an emotional person when it comes to things like that. So I don't think I will be a good fit. That is why there are so many areas for nurses to get into. So if you are someone who truly enjoy doing those kind of things, you can definitely look into hospice nursing. It is also a rewarding field. So yeah, you can check that out. Another area is research nurse. This is not an area that is so popular that is talked about as nurses being in research, right? But there's a need for nurses to be in research. There are so many medications that comes up each and every day. They need nurses to collect data. They need nurses to, do analyzation, things like that. So research nursing, if you're someone who loves to research, this is an area for you as well. You can look into research nursing. I know I have worked with a nurse before who did this. She's explained that this was a contract-based job that she had, so they had hired her. I didn't get into the detail of what exactly she was researching, but they had hired her for a certain time, and they were all working on a research project, and once that got completed, then their job was done, and then she had to move on. So yes, research nursing is definitely an area that you can look into as well. Another area that is getting popular is nurse informatics. Nurse informatics is a field that is getting a lot of attention these days. Let's face it, our life is moving on to technology. And if you have thought about those computer charting systems that you currently work on, well, you have nurses who are working behind the scenes to make sure that these functions that are being created are really capturing the patient documentation so that it create a picture of what that nurse is doing during her time with that patient or during his time with that patient, providing cares and things like that. So nurse informatics is a field that you can look into as well. If you're someone again who is looking for that 9 to 5 job, you want to work from home, there is a place for you in nursing. Another area is forensic nursing. So if you are someone who is into investigation and just love to gather evidence, there is a place for you. So nurses in this role really gather evidence on the scene that involve criminal activities and things like. Sometimes it involves carrying out a court to testify on a certain thing, like what you see, what you know, and things like that. So forensic nursing is an option too as well. Last but not the least on my list is scene nurse. So scene nurses are nurses who are involved into specifically sexual assault activity. I have worked with a nurse before who worked in this field, and she absolutely loved her job. I just love to talk to nurses who have worked in non-traditional role and just get their perspective on what it's like working outside of the hospital. That's all I have done. I have worked as a hospital nurse, and that's it. There are so many alternatives to bedside nursing, so don't be afraid to be a nurse if that's something that you are truly passionate about. There are so many opportunities that you can get into as a nurse. So you can never be bored. Bedside nursing is not the only nursing. Come on board. We need a lot of nurses out there. Thank you for listening. I hope this gave you an insight to nursing. If you are thinking nursing, go for it. And if you have not subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and subscribe, like, comment, and share. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.